Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Lifting Limits. Back when I was 16 years old, I worked for a supermarket. Part of the rules for underage employees was that we were limited on our total lift rate to something like 15 pounds or something. I won't say I was a strapping young man, but 15 pounds wasn't an issue. Working as a cashier/bagger, we regularly had customers that would purchase large items from the front of the store, such as bags of ice, or the culprit in the story, a brick of water softener or salt. The blocks of salt, I believe, were about 50 pounds. Over the store limit for my age clearly, but I can manage 50 pounds without much struggle, especially when the block has handles more or less. The problem, however, was the loss prevention office was right next to the salt pallet. More than once I'd get reprimanded for lifting over the weight limit for an elderly person or someone with disabilities that specifically asked for help. So one day I get a nice elderly lady, probably pushing her mid-80s, that asked me to assist her with the block getting into her cart and out to her car. I look over, and there's LPO manager standing right next to it, surveying his kingdom, the one that likes to reprimand me about it, like it was his job or something, which I understand now being older. So I rave over a buddy of mine and ask him to assist lift this albeit hefty yet small block of salt. We square up, double check each of us is ready for the lift, and go full to the ground knee bend. We remind each other vocally to not curl the back for safety, count down from 3 and hoist this block of salt into the cart. Then escort the lady to her car, both of us, because it does need to be lifted again, and load her up. Lady asked on the way if we needed help, to which we told her the story of the lifting limit, and she had a small chuckle about it. Once inside, the frontline manager promptly asked, "What is your issue?" as to why both my friend and I just bailed on our station for the last 20 minutes during a Saturday morning rush. I believe the response was something along the lines of, "Next time you need to do that, tell someone older to just pick it up," which isn't nearly as fun. The next story is called If You Find That Job. My old company was a fairly large REIT, roughly $10 billion. I was a part of a very niche M&A shop that was typically the black sheep of the company. I felt like anything we did was just a hassle overall, and it wasn't really worth the company's time to entertain these acquisitions anymore. I was a part of the minuscule sized deal team. 3 of us, including myself, that closed over 60 deals per year, with 45 to 50 active deals at one time. Typically, each deal took about 4 to 9 months from start to finish, depending on the seller's competence level and organization. This was my first job out of college. I knew the career path I wanted to take was going to require long hours and no vacations, but typically in finance the salary will reflect that commitment. Well, for this job I was making 52k per year, working 80-hour weeks. After my first full year, I went to the VP of the department and requested a 20% raise. I was told the basic inflation spiel and got a 2% cost of living adjustment. I think it's important to note here that after I left this company, I found out the same VP received a $2 million bonus. Fast forward a couple of months. Every year the company has a meeting where the entire company, 300-ish people, meets at a hotel. They do this to give updates as to what the company has done so far, where they are going, and for team building of course. In reality, this was a multi-million-dollar event to pat the backs of the executives. As a part of this event, anyone in the company is allowed to send in anonymized questions to the CEO, and he will read and respond to it if he thinks it's something worth talking about. Just before this company event, 5 people had resigned from other departments in the company. Every one of them almost doubled their salaries at their new jobs. So I decided to ask the question, how do you plan to retain talent when there are other companies offering 2 times their money with half of the workload? The CEO decided this question was hilarious and read it aloud, laughing. He responded, "If you find that job," with finger quotes as if it wasn't real, "you better take it. Goodbye." After being treated pretty terribly the last 1.5 years, I decided that was the final nail in the coffin. I spoke with one of the recently resigned co-workers about his new company, and soon after, a recruiter from his company reached out to me. I go through the interview process and get the job. I more than doubled my pay when taking the 20% end of year bonus into account. and I even got a 10k signing bonus. But the story doesn't end here. As I gave notice to my wonderful manager who taught me everything I know, she first told me she hates me because she is going to have to take over my 19 current deals. But then, shockingly, she confides that after 7 years of working at the company, she is ready to move to greener pastures as well. I decided to call the recruiter that reached out to me originally and asked if there are any other positions open at my new company. She says yes. They interview her and she gets the job as well a month later. 2 down, 1 to go. The final co-worker standing was not hard to convince, as he saw 52 deals suddenly pile onto his desk while he was already underwater doing the same 80-hour weeks as I did. I worked with him to spruce up his resume and get the wheels turning. After 2 interviews, he was given a verbal job offer with an in-writing letter expected the next week. All said and done, all 3 of us ended up doubling our old salaries. The old company is now scrambling to replace us, with over $100 million worth of deals that will grind to a halt when my last coworker makes his departure. My new gig does not feel like real life. I have a fantastic boss that respects my time outside of the office, to the point that he gave me 2 weeks in between jobs to unwind after my previous role. My workload is 30% of what I used to do as well. My old manager got the same 2-week treatment and is currently enjoying her time off and will start in the middle of October. If I was only given the 20% raise. The last story is called Shouldn't Yell at the Driver. Some years ago, I was driving pickups and deliveries for a trucking company in Denmark. P&D is the part of the transport chain where you usually deliver small quantities to multiple customers on a route. Kind of like UPS or FedEx, but in semis or box trucks. It was nearing the end of the day and I had to deliver a trampoline to a residential area. It was a fairly new area with plenty of space, but I had to reverse in cause there was no way of turning around. But no problem. The road was wide and so were the corners I had to go around. I put my semi in reverse and started going backward. And of course I was delivering to the last house on the street. Now the road climbed a bit and was about 600 or 700 meters long, but it all went fine. When I finally got to the end of the road and got out of my truck to unload this trampoline, some guy was already standing behind my truck and started yelling and swearing at me. I was the biggest idiot on this earth. How the heck could I even think of going in there with a semi? I could have run over all the kids in the neighborhood. I had absolutely no valid reason for being there and could get the heck out of there right away. Instead of starting an argument with this person, I calmly asked him where he lived. He pointed at the house and said number 74. Guess where I was delivering? So I, again very calmly, told this man, well, in that case I have a trampoline for you. Oh, the man said, well, I would like if you could, but, I interrupted, since I have no business being in here with a semi, I will be waiting for you at the end of the road, and pointed to the direction I just came from. Mind you, this is the big model, weighing about 130 pounds, so you might want to bring a wheelbarrow. The joy it was seeing him coming all the way down the road with his wheelbarrow, and then trying to get this 130 pound trampoline up in the wheelbarrow and starting his long heavy walk 700 meters up to his house again. Priceless. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.